Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But if they did that, maybe it would have disappeared altogether.
Yeah.
Maybe you're seeing the definition because what's defining that circle is where the branches are broken off.
True. True. Very true.
All right.
I don't mean that there was anything, you mean visually broken. Rob, you mean visually broken?
Visually broken, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
There we go. See, there's a less case of it.
Yeah.
That worked.
yep.
Yep.
And love the shadows on this one.
Beautiful.
And Rex, as far as your comments from your previous tree, this one at least you can still see a little bit of the trunk.
Well, you know,
Yep.
that was the idea. Yeah.
So anyway, that's a lot of trees, but I thought those were pretty cool. So this next one is, and I know we've talked about, and Brian started doing this a year or so ago, as far as the wonders of smartphones and what they can do. And Apple has really made a big deal here over the last year about their night vision type cameras. So they had a photo contest, photos made in their night mode. So that's what these are. I like the simplicity of that one.
It's really amazing what they're able to do with the cell phone cameras.
Yep.
And they're getting better and better and better and better and better.
I don't know if I like the red look on this one, but it's different. Nice silhouettes going on there. That's kind of a moody shot. Looks like a street market with the city buildings in the background. That's the end of that one. Okay, and I think I'm down to one more, the last one. So this is a rather long video, and the intent is not to watch the whole thing. I think we're going to stick with it for about a minute and a half or so, maybe less. But if DL's still on, this is a little bit for him too.
Do you hate looking at beautiful women? If so, you are watching the right video. What's up, everybody? This is Michael Camo from OnPortraits.com, and today we are going to edit 4 portraits of old men in Capture 120. And if you are into portrait photography, if you are into Capture One, hit that subscribe button, hit that notifications bell. This way you'll get all my new tutorials as soon as they go live.
Okay, that's all I had on that one. I just thought it was interesting. No beautiful woman, just grumpy old men.
Oh,
So that is the end. Brian, it's all yours.
All right.
Do I have to stop share, I guess?
Yep. Okay.
Look, Brian's back.
I'm back. Jim's back. We're all back to here. All right, guys. What did you think?
nice, very good.
Good.
Very good.
All right.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Good.
I like the fact that we can see it through our computer because it enhances the photos and stuff. Where when we look at the screen, it's not as, you know, it's nice, but it's not as
Not as bright.
it's not as nice.
Okay. All right. Let's see. You guys want to see hair selection?
Sure.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right, Melissa, this is for you.
Thank you.
She's taking notes.
I am.
In the dark over there.
Yeah.
Oh,
She
so like,
doesn't want
really
anybody
not
to
a-
interfere.
It's not as dark as it looks. The computer makes it look like it's darker, but I have a nice light on here that I can see.
Okay, well, we can't, but.
We
that's
still
fine.
can't see you.
Yeah.
She's not worried about that.
Yeah, really. I took the
That's the
dog
whole
for a
idea.
walk. I took the dog for a walk this afternoon. There's nothing to look at.
I saw it earlier.
Okay, guys,
Okay.
so I am going to bring up Photoshop here. And you guys should be seeing Photoshop at this point.
We got it.
Okay. All right, did any of you download the picture and try this? Or
Yep.
to,
Downloaded the picture, but I can't get it on the Photoshop.
well, you have to open it in Photoshop.
I tried to open it in Photoshop.
Give me 1 second there, guys. I think I heard someone beep in.
Are we doing, are you in Photoshop 2020 or Photoshop CC 2019?
That's,
I am in 2020. So the things that are be different, I will try to point out as I go along this. The only thing that I found that was different was the refined edges that we mentioned a little earlier. I think was a major thing that I found that was a little bit different. Now my screen will look different than yours because I rearranged mine and put all my tools on one side.
Yeah, that's driving me
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, Brian, I was going to ask you, on the left-hand side, you've got a color tool and saturation. How did you open that window there?
Windows.
Which one? This
Go up to Windows.
Yeah. I don't have that toolbar at all on my screen.
Oh,
I have,
well, do
Yeah.
you have the adjustment bar on your screen? This one here?
nope.
If you go up to Windows, you can, yeah, right there. It gives you all of them that you can just check and it'll come up.
Oh,
You can pick what's open and available to you.
Right.
okay.
So the ones that I have open there are the ones that I use the most of the time.
Yeah, I'm trying to pick the ones that. Oh, okay, adjustments, color. Now it's still not. I'm checking them, but it's not displaying the bar. It's not displaying that tool tab. I have adjustments and color selected. Maybe I have to go to workspace.
How can I even?
Well, do you have any of your adjustments opened at all? Because it may be up underneath. They may be hiding on you.
So they could be showing in a bar like this one here, and I'm going around. Like that's my history. This would be my actions. So they could be showing up in a bar there or a bar here. For this tutorial, the only one that we're really going to be looking at is layers and channels. So those are the two that you'll need to have open.
Okay, I have that open on the right-hand side.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I prefer to have all my tools in one place. That way I don't have to bounce back and forth from one side of the screen to the other. And anytime I need a tool, I automatically go to the left. But that's just a personal choice on how I set my Photoshop up.
How do I get? Never mind. I don't even know how to get in the.
What?
What's the question?
I don't know how to get into the. I have Photoshop pulled up, but I don't have any toolbars or anything.
Sounds like you've got it on full open.
Hit the letter F.
Hit F.
Okay, I did. Nothing's happening.
Hit escape.
Okay, That did
Okay.
There you go.
it.
All right. So the topic of the next meeting will be how do we open Photoshop?
Yeah, how do we toolbar
Now,
photo?
how do I get that image in there?
File, open, and then open the image from wherever you downloaded it to.
Okay.
Or you can do Control and O is the keyboard shortcut.
You didn't think it was going to be this basic, did you, Brian?
No, because the
I
tutorial
don't.
is that basic.
I don't usually use Photoshop. That's why. There. Okay. Got it.
Okay.
No, same with me. I'm trying to figure out through this too.
Right, so
My thing is I'm going to take notes as Brian goes because he's got the little recording button going and we can watch this later again.
yeah, I am recording this part. I accidentally did not record the first part of the meeting. I apologize, but I thought it's set up to where it started recording automatically, and evidently I set this meeting up before I made that change to my settings.
All right, Jim, you and I are going to get together on the phone. Go ahead, Brian.
Who's getting together on the phone? Okay. All right. So the thing that Melissa had asked me to do, and this was a while back, was to show how to do selections of hair. The few things that I know about doing selections of hair is that it's not easy. And I haven't found any easy way to do it to make it like, oh, I just click this button and it does the selection. You can get close. You can get really bad selections and you can get fairly decent selections. I've watched, I don't know how many different tutorials, and Marty, I know that you added a couple videos in there that I watched both of the videos that you had for Photoshop, and they were pretty good. But to me, there was just a few too many steps in there. So what I'm going to show you is the way that I found and you guys have heard me talk about this before, the courses on the website Udemy, I believe is the name of it. They have different courses.
Yes.
And that is where this idea came from as part of the master class of the Photoshop CC 2020 that I have. So that's what we're going to use as far as how I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm not saying that this is the only way to do it, and I'm most certainly not saying it's the best way to do it, but it seemed like it was a fairly easy way to do it, at least to get started. And then you can, as you learn more about Photoshop and masking, you can work on this and use this technique. One thing I do know about Photoshop is if you don't use this stuff on a regular basis, you will have to go back and some sort of notes because you're not going to remember how to do all these steps in a row tomorrow if you don't use this tonight, kind of thing. So anyhow, we got a picture, and this picture is I pulled off of Adobe stock images, and it's just a portrait of a woman, and we got a blurred background. So in Photoshop, there's one technique that we could try. Which actually, with this particular picture, doesn't do too bad of a job. This is only available in Photoshop CC. So for anybody that's a CC version of Photoshop, you will not have this this selection tool. But I want to show it to you anyhow because it actually does a fairly decent job. And if you go to Select and tell it to select the focus area, because we have something that's in focus and something that's out of focus. So makes it a little bit easier for Photoshop to do that. And as you can see, Photoshop did a halfway decent job, but not completely. So there is a pop-up box. I don't know if you can see that or not because it might be a separate screen.
It popped up.
Did it pop up? Okay.
Yep, it popped up.
I'm going to make an adjustment, which I tried earlier. Not that. 5.79 worked the best for what I was trying to do. At 5.79, it picks pretty good selection of what's there. If you get too much more than that, you'll see that, oh, it picked everything.
Oh, okay.
And if I go back down this way, it doesn't pick enough. So when I was fooling with this earlier, 579 seemed to work about the best for what I was trying to do.
Oh,
Now,
5,
with
7,
this, you can also then take and paint in the areas that it missed. So I can draw a line here in this arm right here, if you see. And now Photoshop went ahead and grabbed that.
Right there on her arm, other arm. Yeah. Up. That may be a button. Forgive. I said that.
That's a button on the sleeve.
Yeah.
But you can see it did a fairly good job of making a quick selection of everything. And it did fairly good with her hair, but not as good as can be done. But anyhow, I wanted to show you that as a way of doing this, but it only works if your subject is in focus and the rest of your picture is out of focus. It can make this happen. But for this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and cancel that because that's not the selection we want to use. But it did do a fairly good job. Cancel. Okay. So what we're going to use is a different technique, I should say. So basically, we're going to go over and click on channels. Your channels are going to show you your RGB, red, green, and blue. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to pick a channel, a individual channel that shows the best contrast between the group. Okay? Or the best contrast between her and the background is what I'm trying to say. So if I select red, you can see that it's not a whole lot of contrast between her hair and the background. Green is a little bit worse. And in this case, blue has about the most contrast between them. So in this scenario, you would pick the channel that makes the best sense for giving you the most contrast. Now, with that being said, we want to add more contrast to that particular layer, or channel rather. For most of you, if you're not running the 2020, you could right click on blue and it would do a thing that says duplicate layer, but in 2020, this is one of the things that's changed. You have to click the little lines and it says duplicate channel. So we're going to duplicate the blue channel. And sorry, my screens keep popping up on the other screen. And it just brings up this here, and we're just going to click OK, and you'll see now I have a blue copy. We're going to turn that one on and turn the other one back off. So we're only going to be working on the blue copy in our channel. Everybody okay so far?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay.
How did you turn that channel off?
With the little eye on the side there.
Okay.
So there's both channels on. If I turn that off, now I only have the blue copy with a little eye on it that shows that it's on, that it's turned on.
Okay, I got it.
That'd be the same as in if you're working with layers, you have the little eyes that shut the layer on and off. That does the same thing. All right, so once we've done that, we want to increase the contrast to get a better selection. So to do that, the easiest way to do that is to bring up levels, which you can do by hitting Control and L or Command and L. And let me get this over here. Do you guys see levels here now?
Yep.
Okay. So you can fool around with making contrast by taking this center one, or I'm sorry, this end one and this end one and sliding them both in. That'll increase contrast. Or you can do, just click on that and go, let's increase contrast by, there's a couple different presets. Let's do an increase contrast by 3. And you can see it just moved those in and it increased the contrast in our picture. That'll make the selection easier because we're going to be selecting based on that contrast in the blue channel. And we'll just click OK on that. All right, so with that being said, now we need to select her. We're going to do that by staying in the blue channel, and I'm going to use the quick select tool, which is over here, and it's the quick selection tool.
What tool is that?
On your toolbar, there is a selections, and it depends on what you have. You might have magic wand up. We're going to use, there's 3 different tools in that version, and we're going to use the quick selection tool. You can get to that by hitting the letter W as well on your computer.
See, what's it look like? Little paintbrush with a thingy around it?
Paintbrush with a oval dotted line there. You see it up here on the left hand, up here where I'm at? On the left-hand side?
Yeah, I see that, but mine's not in this. Why is mine not in the same place?
Well, I don't know what version you have.
2020.
Okay, so it should be right there. That's your toolbar. That one's stocked, and I haven't moved that one. That's where it starts at.
Yeah, I'm good there.
Unless they're in like the magic wand tool or something.
Yes, if you hit the letter W on your keyboard,
Okay.
it will automatically take you to that tool, and that tool should be highlighted over here on the left-hand side. See how mine's in darker gray?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't have the one that says quick selection or the one that's a brush with that little dotted line around it, click on it, just hold your click and hold down, and then you can pick the different tools that are available.
Mine, when I held the W down, it came up with the magic wand.
Okay, so over on the left-hand side, we're up. Click and hold on the magic wand, and then you'll be able to pick the different tool. We want quick selection tool.
Oh, okay, there it is.
Okay?
Okay, got it.
Everybody good? All right. So with quick selection tool, the best way to work with that is to start in the middle and work your way out. All right, so we're going to start in the middle of this picture and just click, and you can see how it's selected that. So as we work our way out, it will select more information and more area. We're going to try to get a decent selection around there. Let's get up onto her face. And then when you get closer to the hair, just work in small areas, just a little bit at a time. And your selection here isn't going to be perfect, and that's fine. We don't care at this point. We just want to try to get as much as we can with that selection. And you can see my little marching ants. That's a pretty good selection to work with.
Okay, what if you get too far out?
If you get too far out and you need to get rid of some, you take your cursor and put it on the outside edge.
Yeah.
Hold your Alt button down, and you'll see that cursor changes to a negative. See the minus in there? And then you can go in from the outside and tell it to get rid of something. See?
He's recording this.
Okay, Annie?
Yeah, I'm working it.
So we get as close as much of it as you can, but don't worry about it being perfect because you're not going to get it perfect this way. But that gives us a pretty decent little selection there of her at your edges and stuff like that. And it don't have to be perfect. And of course, for the tutorial, I'm not going to make it exactly perfect, but this is one way of getting that done. All right, so once we've got that selection, the next thing we need to do is refine the edges, and that's where we're going to pick up some more out of that hair. And in the 2020 version or the older versions up here in the top right here where your information is about the tool that you're working, you would have a button that says Refine Edges. In the 2020 version, we don't have a button that says Refine Edges. It says Select and Mask. So I'm going to click Select and Mask, and that actually is the same as the Refine Edges. It's just a different version of it. And I'm assuming that you can see the new screen, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Brian, I see the button Select and Mask, but it's not lit up that I can select it.
Is the girl selected?
Do you have?
I can select all layers. I can select Auto Enhance, but Select and Mask is not an option that I have.
Do you have Refine Edges?
No.
So you don't have Refine Edges, and you don't have Select and. Do you have a selection on the girl or on the lady?
I have a selection like you did on the entire girl.
Okay.
I don't know.
Huh. You should.
I can't remember where the older version was that on Refine.
Yeah, the older version, this would say Refine Edges right here, where this says Select and Mask.
No,
Well, it'd
this-
also be up underneath a view or a filter or something, and I can't remember which one.
Select.
Select.
And I don't, I don't have the PS 6, so I can't tell you.
Under select at the top, you would have a drop-down menu if you
Yeah.
click and select.
yeah, and select and mask is a lower gray. It's not one to be selected.
Huh.
Huh.
Are you still working on the blue copy layer?
Oh, no, I'm on the blue layer. Okay,
Mhm.
hold on. Let me go to the blue copy layer. Oh, now I got it.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
We go to select and mask or refine edges.
We got select and mask. Okay.
All right. So with the select and mask over here on the side, you have your different brushes and tools that you can use. They pop up automatically. The one that we want is the one that says refine edge brush tool. If you're using the older version, when you clicked on refine edge, where it says view over here, in that screen, there would be a place to change things there. And you're automatically using a refine edge tool or brush tool in refine edge. So that's a difference there. In this particular case, if we're using this, if you have this, we're clicking on the refine edge brush tool. And over here, what I like to do is where it says view, if I click on that, I can go down to black and white. And that does that. As far as your radiuses and smooth and feather and all that, leave all that alone to start with. And all we're going to do is take, and we can adjust our brush size using the plus and minus buttons up top here. And all we're going to do is just kind of go along the edges of where the hair is.
Oh, you can really see it.
Oh, wow.
See, it's starting to pick up that hair. So just around the edges, now you have your hairlines, your extra hair. See that, Melissa?
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
So Brian, I don't have Photoshop, but just looking at your screen there, there's some gray areas where you kind of, I'm going to say, over refine. Can you go back and erase those? Because it doesn't look like that's hair.
Yes, you can. And we're actually going to get to that shortly. You can make an adjustment. So if you've cut too much out here, you can do the same thing. If you hit the Alt button, it gives you a minus, and you can cut a little bit out. So if you think your selection's too far out, you can do that right now. And then we'll make adjustments to that also when we get to another step in the process. That answer your question, Jim?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So we've got that selection done. And actually, I'm sorry, I want to go back to that black. And one over here, we're going to take and just smooth that just a hair. Yeah,
That was a
just
pun.
unintended.
Unintended. Unintended.
Unintended. Just a couple numbers. I don't go a whole lot. You just want to smooth that selection out just a wee little bit, but you don't want to start losing the hair that you've selected. So 2 or 3 is the biggest number that I think you really need to use there. All right. I'm just double checking my notes, Melissa, to make sure I've done everything I'm supposed to do. All right. So with that being said, we can go ahead and click OK down at the bottom. And the selection is better at this point.
Wow.
And your dancing ants don't look like they're covering all that, but that selection is actually there, which we're going to show you here in just a second. So at this point, we can actually just go back to layer, or we can go back to RGB. And go back to layers. Oop. Sorry, guys.
Wait, go back what?
Hang on a second. I hit the wrong button. We're going to go back to our layers at this point. So instead of channels, we're going to go to layers.
You're still on the blue tab though.
Yes, I don't know what's going on there.
Okay, layers.
What happens if you just select RGB? They'll get everything back.
Yeah. But I don't know why it has that red tint to it. It shouldn't.
We'll close the other ones off. Your selections should still stay there.
Yeah. Okay.
It was your blue copy.
Yeah, I got it now. So I shut the blue copy off, went to RGB, and then went to layers.
A question?
Yes.
Ultimately, you're going to do something with the background, like make it softer, or
For this particular thing, that's pretty much where I'm gonna end, is just changing that background color to just a solid color now, just to show you the selection process.
okay.
But once you've done this, then you could use your selection process to change your background completely, or like you said, soften it more, or do different things to the background.
Darker or lighter?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we're back to the layers panel, we're going to add a layer mask to this, and you can do that just by going down here and clicking the little square with a hole in the middle of it, which is add a mask, or as the tutorial I was watching said, the Japanese flag.
Yep.
So once you've clicked that Japanese flag on there, now we see that it's removed the background.
How'd you do that?
Add a layers mask to your layer.
How do you do that?
Actually, hold on one second. Let me start that one over again. All right, background. So you have your layer over here, your background layer, which is probably over on that side of the screen. Down at the bottom of that panel is a Japanese flag.
Oh. Okay.
Click on that, and that adds what's called a layers mask to that.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
All right. Cool.
So what have you masked? Your selected area or the other area?
It masked the selected area.
Okay.
Is what it picked up.
Okay.
Okay. So at this point, what I want to do now is add another layer altogether. And if we go down to the bottom, there's a plus button. You can click on that, and it adds a layer.
There's a what button? Oh, plus.
Yep, to the right of the Japanese flag.
Okay.
All right, once you get that layer, just grab it and pull it below the other layers. So it's the bottom layer now.
Okay.
Okay. Now you would fill that layer with your color or whatever background that you want to put in or whatever. So in this case, I'm just going to fill it with white, which I can do by, I think it was Alt and backspace. You see how it filled that particular layer?
Alt.
And your backspace button.
Okay, but mine ended up black.
Well,
oh, reverse those
Yeah.
over in the corner there. Go down in the corner. Reverse that. Have her reverse that.
Just click on one of them and it'll reverse.
Yep. So if you have the white on the foreground now, so that's your foreground color and a background color is what that looks like on your tool.
Yeah, but huh, it didn't change.
No, you have to do the Alt and backspace again now.
Oh.
So you should have white on the foreground.
No. No, it didn't change. Okay.
So I have black like yours. See
Okay.
the tool?
I got it.
You got it? Okay.
I like it with the black though. You can see
Say
it.
she looks better in the black
Yeah,
background.
you can do it either way that you want. It doesn't matter.
Oh, sure. Now that I flipped it.
Well, you can see how it handled the hair better with the black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
behind it.
All right, so now that we've got that far, the next thing to do is we're going to use what's called an old school term of dodge and burn. Beth, I'm looking at the video pictures and your head is totally missing.
It did disappear. I don't know why.
I looked over and everything was there but your head. I'm like, how did that happen?
Now, the selection is too large.
Okay, so over on the left, over on in your tool section again, your tool line here. As you come down along here, you'll see a hand, or you might see a
Finger.
what looks like a lollipop.
Finger.
You might see a sponge. Not a finger. Finger's different. That's a different tool. So it's either the full hand or a lollipop.
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 Okay, so the lollipop is the dodge tool. And we're going to start out using the dodge tool. All right. And let's see if I did this right. I might have to change my colors here. But then we can come back in and, oh, I wanted to point this out. Sorry. Make sure that we are on our layer mask. So on your layer panel here, click on the actual mask, the black and white part of that. You guys see how I click there? Layer mask right there.
Oh, okay.
Everybody there?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's important. If you're not working on the mask, you're working on something else and that won't work. So the layer mask you want to click on, and then up here where it says range for your dodge tool, you want to be working with the highlights and leave your exposure at 100%. So you don't want anything other than highlights in there. Make sure your range is highlights. And if I have the right selections here, I don't. Let me switch this. So you can come back in and burn in or dodge in those little bit of edges there. And yes, I know there's a little bit up there on the top that's not quite right. So we're going to get rid of that here in a second. But you're just going to get in here and just bring those highlights up a little bit. Like so. And again, I'm not being 100% perfect with this. I just wanted to show you how this works. So the next thing would be to click on that same tool, and we're going to bring up the burn tool. And when we work with the burn tool, we want to make sure that we are on shadows. And our exposure somewhere in the neighborhood of 50%. You can mess with that. It doesn't need to be at 100. And what this is going to do is allow us to get rid of that stuff that's that little edges in here. We're going to burn that stuff back in. You can see how I can get in here and just tighten up that. We're leaving our bright stuff in there.
So Brian, while you're doing this, when you, going back a couple of steps, when you did the selection, if for whatever reason you had tightened up the selection and left some of the hair out, then when you went to dodge, it wouldn't have picked up those hairs. The hairs had to be there within the selection for them to appear on this step?
Yes, I think. The hairs had, yeah, the hairs had to be in the refine. When you did the refine selection, you had to have picked up the hairs to get to this point. So the refine selection is the most important part of this process, really.
So you want to refine it, but if you refine it too much, you might lose some of her hair.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
I like how that's taking that cloud out, but it's not removing any of her hair.
Right, because we're burning in the darker parts. Now it is going to catch little bits and edges here and there.
Yeah, but it's really doing a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we were doing the selection, would you have done around her neck too? Because like there's some light coming in through the back.
Yeah, you would be a little bit more diligent about your selections when you're doing this.
But I mean, I would have picked it up then if I would have went over the neck area.
Right.
In that black and white version.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's the basics of it. And again, it's not perfect because I don't know that there is a perfect way of doing this. You can see how you can fool around with it and just keep going back and forth between the burn and the dodge tools to get the parts that you need and get rid of the parts that you don't need. This section right here didn't come out as good as I would like, but that was in my selection originally. I just didn't do as good a job here as I should have. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, how's that?
Pretty good.
Nice
That
work.
looks great. Could you put on like, do you have like just a photo that you could put as a base layer to see what she would look like and then a more natural background?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean.
So like right now, your layer 1 is black.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just like put just a photo of some sort that you could superimpose her on to see what her hair looks like in a more natural background condition?
Sure. I don't know if I have a photo that I can get to.
How about landscaping of some sort?
Give me 1 second. Let me find a photo because I don't have anything there.
I've got pre-made backgrounds for that kind of thing, but I don't know if I'd be able to get them to you without using up all the time. I've got pre-made.
Put her with the tree.
Made them myself. Use a gradient. Try a gradient. No, you got it.
It's obviously not the right size.
Well, you can stretch it out and
Resize it.
sharp, but maybe you can
Let's see here.
image size maybe and see if you can get it on up there. Yeah, there you go.
Aha. That helped.
That'd be good enough for
pretty good.
process. The picture's not very big, but
Yeah.
So if we take that,
Just mush it. Hey, look at that.
Then can you make her a little smaller?
Sure. All
Boy,
right.
you're picky, Jim, aren't you?
Well, I just want to see what she looks like against the background that you might have see her in.
Hmm.
Now you need a tractor trailer coming up the road.
Yeah, she needs to put her thumb out.
Hey, Jim.
Can you move her arm?
Oh, God.
Good thing you can't see my video
That's-
right now, Jim.
Hey, yes, you can. It's called puppet. It's called puppet warp. It's in Photoshop. Photoshop.
Just make her animated and, you know, move her all over the place.
But
Is
Melissa,
replicate.
sorry, I didn't say every step that I did there. What I did was I went and just downloaded a picture real quick, and I grabbed this picture here. I did a Control A and selected the whole picture. I went back to my original picture and just did Control V, and that'll lay something on as a separate layer. And that's at layer 2, and it popped in there. I did a edit and transform and scale is what I used to get it to go bigger. And then you just grab that layer, and wherever you move it, the stuff will show up behind it or in front of it. So I moved it below her, and then Jim requested that she become smaller, so I did a transform on that layer, and that allowed me to make her smaller. And actually, it's not too bad as far as just dropping it on a picture. And the hair selection is pretty darn good, I think.
It looks good.
It is. It is.
I'm impressed. Because all that stuff going down the right side or her left side, I would have lost that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you had her larger, I kind of blended in with the mountain a little bit, and you can barely see it.
This in here,
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. When you had her larger, it kind of went up. I'm pointing to my screen, can't you tell? Yeah, I'm pointing.
I keep doing the same thing, Marnie.
Nope.
Well, you don't have to change it. I was just saying. Like when you were up there, it kind of disappeared. See right there?
Yep, a little bit better. So, anyhow, how's that?
That looks pretty good.
That's good.
Very good.
All right.
Except now the mountain's in her head. Yeah,
Well,
maybe-
at least she doesn't have the mountain point sticking out of her head.
Oh, yes, it is.
All right, guys.
Brian,
Yes.
we could try another way of doing this selection without using the channels if you want to go over that. And what you do is you go back to the individual. Oh, yeah, the full picture. Yeah.
Hang on a second. Let me
Yeah.
take this one back to,
To the original image.
yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. And then you go to the selection tool, the one that you had beforehand. The
Magic.
no, this one down here. This well, you can't see me. Can you see the selection tool? You're at that one,
Okay.
and then you put go on top and put select subject.
Okay.
Select subject here. And then what you do is select, now press select and mask. And you could go to the onion, or you could go to the ants, but this is the refinement tool that you had talked about beforehand. And then you could do your refinements here, and then press you should have a selection here. Press OK. And then what you're going to do is on this one here, you're going to invert. You're going to go up to the select, invert to make the background.
Yeah. It is.
I'm sorry, I used the shortcut for invert, which is Shift Control I.
Okay, and then you just probably get another like a color background like you did beforehand. Pick whatever color you want and put that at the bottom. But you should have a mask here. If something happened, you should have a mask because that's what we want, a mask and all that. So I'm not sure what happened. Okay, yeah, like that. And then just get a background. Pick any color you want.
So you added a new layer then at that point.
Right. And then just put whatever background. Well, no, you put a color layer. Make that a color layer.
Okay. Well, that wouldn't make any sense to use that color, would it?
No. Well, but Brian, eliminate that layer on the top, that first layer, layer number 1. Eliminate that.
Take it away?
Yeah, take it away. Just go to your adjustment layer, the color there. Just any color you want. Make a color layer. Oh, you have to invert that. You have to make sure that you invert it. No, you want a colored layer. Pick any color you want and then put it at the bottom.
Well, to add a layer, I have to add a layer to put a
Yeah,
layer.
add a layer, but go down to the bottom here. This one, no, it's you just got a plain layer there. Down to the adjustments tool. Go to the adjustments and just get a color layer. No, that's bright. It's when you next to the Japanese flag, you have solid color, whatever you want to do and all that.
Okay.
And then bring that layer down. And there it is. Similar to what you did beforehand, but without using the channels.
Okay.
Bob, what was the main difference there at the beginning that you did? I'm not sure I understand the difference.
What you do is you get the selection. You do a selection tool first. And that's the 1, 2, 3, the fourth one from the top. And then what you do is you select the subject first. Then to refine it, like Brian did, you go select and mask and then do the refinement tool like he did around the hair. Then there should be an option on the right-hand side to make that, it says here, make a selection, make it a selection. So in other words, you just selected that individual. But then you have to make sure that you inverse it because you want the background to be black, not show up, but she'd be white like the mask that Brian is showing on the left-hand side. And then you pick any color you want, bring it down so that she's on top of the color.
So with using that process, it worked pretty good with this because the subject for Photoshop was fairly understandable. But if the subject isn't 100% understandable, so because of this, the way this picture was designed, it had the background out of focus fairly much. Photoshop was able to pick the subject up quite well whenever we did that original.
The channel one.
No, yours. But when we did select subject, it was able to do that because there was a distinction between her and the background. If there's no distinction between her and the background, Photoshop will have issues with picking that subject. So depending on the picture, that may or may not work, but that is a good idea. It's a good way of doing it. I like that. So thank you, Bob.
Sure. And what you could do is on the side there, on the top right-hand side of her, the hair, you could just use your brush tool and make the color pink and just color it in and all that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Nice, Bob. Thank you.
Sure,
When
no
you
problem.
do that, though, make sure you really pixelate it almost. So you get a very good, yeah, really pixelate it. And you can really get in there and take care of it. Yeah, right in through there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
That really turned out really well. You can see the pink inside the,
Right.
Yeah, that's amazing.
that turned out really well.
Yeah.
Good job.
Well, thank you, Brian, for putting this all together and everybody else and all that. That's, you know.
All right, I'm going to come back off of Photoshop, and we're back to normal. All right, guys. Anything else anybody wants to talk about or anything? We're a little after 9 now, so that's our typical meeting length.
Who's going to go out to eat?
Yeah. Take out.
Yeah.
I am going out to
We're-
the
We have to all eat in our cars.
I got mine right here. Right we go.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Marty, sorry, you already ate.
Yes, I did.
All
That
right.
was-
Well, we had 20 participants this evening at one point. We're down to 17 now. A few people have
Petered out.
But what'd you guys think of the meeting?
I thought it was great.
Very good.
Good.
It works really
Nice
well.
job, Brian. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. So at
May-
this point,
May I make one suggestion?
sure.
Good. When you're doing the Photoshop like that, there's a lot of new people here. Instead of doing the shortcuts like Z for Zoom and etc., maybe show them exactly where it is so they can start off that way.
Okay.
Just a suggestion.
Margie, that's a good
Someone will have to show me. Someone will have to show me where they're at because I only know how to do it with shortcuts.
Yeah. Well, that's a more advanced way, but I know a lot of them here are thinking, okay, what did he say? And if you show them, and next to whatever it is, it'll give you the shortcut, and that way they can learn the shortcuts, but they need to know where to look at it so they can learn the shortcuts.
Okay.
Just a suggestion.
You can also Google it, shortcuts, and print it out. I've done that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have a sheet somewhere that I printed out somewhere along the way that has all the shortcuts and what they do.
Right?
Yes.
What is that above your head, Beth? You got a waterfall?
No, I think it's the cabinet behind me that keeps showing up.
Oh, okay.
I'm in my craft room, which is total disaster area. So
Cool. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, I have a comment.
Sure.
One of the things that really works is when you or Jim are showing images on the screen that we normally have to look at from across a room. We are now looking at them on our own computer with color and brightness and sharpness that tells a much better story.
Yep.
You really see it, like when Jim was describing the horizon, the background, the ridge line of the mountains, and subtle differences in the contrast that I just would not really be able to see well
With a projector.
in a darkened room with half the lights on and everything else going on. We were looking at the actual image the best that you're going to see it.
I agree 100%. And it's actually something that we mentioned when we had our officers meeting using this just to try it. was how much nicer it was to be able to see, because I showed, I just brought up Lightroom and showed that to them, and they made the same comment, Rex, that it was so much nicer to be able to see the actual, what you're actually looking at. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. That is a nice feature of this. When I'm sharing the screen or someone else is, we're seeing exactly what it is that the screen's there. So it does a nice job as far as that goes. Yes, absolutely.
You said that much better than I did earlier, Rex. Thank you.
I found that I have 2 pages for Windows keyboard shortcuts and 2 pages for the Mac keyboard shortcuts in case anybody has a Mac that they're working on.
Yes.
You don't happen to have a PDF version of that, do you?
I can scan it and give it to you.
Okay. Yeah, if you got that, send it over to me, and it'll go underneath that SWG downloads off of Reddit. That way you can get in there and download those if you want to take a look at those.
Sounds good.
All right. With that being said, I did, while I got your attention, and our photo trips, obviously, at this point, our photo walks are going to be
Industry.
Very short.
for the very foreseeable future. They're going to be closed or not happening. So what I was thinking of, and I wanted to run this by you guys and see if you would be interested in that. There's a lot of places that offer virtual tours, museums, and like the Louvre in France and stuff like that. They offer virtual tours, and using this and sharing a screen, we could get together and do a virtual tour of someplace.
Sure.
Would you guys be interested in doing that at some point? We'll schedule that out as like a photo trip, and we'll go take a look at something or something of that nature that we can come up with.
Yeah,
That
because
sounds
they
cool.
have zoos and everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that'd
vote
be fun.
yes.
Okay. You guys would be interested in that. Cool.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So that's something that I'll get with the officers, and we'll try to schedule that out, and we might make that as a replacement for our photo walks the foreseeable ones that we cannot do at this point.
Yeah.
That way we can at least do something. Go look at pictures of something or whatever, or something of that nature. So.
Well, Brian, going along with that theme, when was the walk in April supposedly taking place?
Marty, we haven't come up with anything except for Marty.
Oh, the one at the farm?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the last weekend, the 24th, I believe it was supposed to be.
25th, Saturday the 25th.
25th, thank you.
Okay, Jim, that was your answer. Was there more to the question?
Well, the fact that, if it was early April, I would have agreed 100% with you. The fact that it's late April, I'd say there's still some remote chance of that taking place.
I will contact her and find out if they want us traveling around their dairy farm with the potential of somebody being infected.
Right.
Hey,
I mean, at this point, I think we should follow the guidelines that we're being given as far as that goes. Hi,
Yes.
Carol. I see you in the background.
No, she's serving.
Ah, you can bring me one.
But anyhow, I think as far as those kind of things go, we need to follow the guidelines that we're given. So at this point, we don't know when the release of you can go be in groups again is going to be. They haven't given us a date.
Or how large of a group
Yes.
you're allowed to be in.
Or how large of a group and stuff like that. So, once they release us and say, yes, you can go do these things, then we'll make a conscious decision as to whether or not we want to yet, as far as what's best for the health of all of us. As far as that goes, I would hope that we would be able to go do that in April, but if not, we'll schedule something else.
Yeah.
we're going to use this until we don't have to anymore, is basically the plan. So all of those things are going to be, in my opinion, would be pending via what we're told to do or not to do kind of thing.
And I'll contact her when we get closer to the date.
Yeah.
No.
I would really hope and like to be able to do that, but I don't know that we're going to be able to. I just, at this point. So,
I mean, even if the band is lifted, they may not want us there.
Right. I mean, and that would be up to them because it's their property.
Right.
And like I said, even if the ban is lifted, we have to make a decision that, what's best for everyone that we know. Because I don't know if the ban being lifted is the end of the coronavirus or not. It's just, it's
Yeah.
I was just talking to Daniel's teacher today, and I actually said that Daniel's done with school to send his work home. He's not going back even if they choose to send their kids back.
Good.
Can't take the risk.
Yeah, and anybody that has a, from everything that I've read, anybody that has any sort of underlying condition, and even a lot more. I haven't left my house in 4 days because you all know I've had a heart attack and I'm a diabetic and those kind of things. So I've chosen to, at the very least, only go to the grocery store and that's it. I'm doing everything I can to stay at home at this point. And I don't know if they came up tomorrow and said, "Oh, you guys can all go out. It's good." I'm probably not leaving. Just because for personal reasons. My mom stopped by here today and I read her the riot act and told her to go to hell home. She had no business. She's 70 some years old with health issues. She has no business being outside of the house right now.
Boy, those old people. Wow. Tell you. They just can't get out of the way, Ken.
I know. I don't even, but yeah, as far as these things go and our trips and stuff like that, at this point, we're going to follow the guidelines that we're given, and then we'll make the decision. Once they release us to be able to meet and be in groups again, we'll make the decision. The WPS will make the decision as to what's the best process for the group.
Yeah, I don't see 4 weeks away. I think we're still going to be like this.
No, I think we're going to be like this through June.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a few months.
I think you're right. You're right.
It's
whether they release us or not, I'm not going to take that chance. So
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll base everything on the general consensus of the group and what we're told we're allowed to do and not allowed to do.
one other question I have is the state parks I was told were closed, yet that isn't Lynn Run and Ford Park, aren't they state operated?
The
facilities are closed, but it's open to the public to be there.
Because they can't
The restrooms are all
close
locked
the
up.
path.
They what?
The restrooms are locked.
Right.
Yeah. But they can't close the path, quote unquote. So if you go up and walk on your own.
Well, I figured everybody would be up there today, so I didn't take my pups up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like in Allegheny County right now, they're under a shelter in place is what they're calling it. So they're not supposed to leave the house other than to go to grocery stores, but they're still allowed to go outside for exercise.
Yeah.
And it's recommended to go outside for exercise.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, the parks and stuff are still open. That's just all the facilities have been closed.
All right.
So even like the pavilions and stuff, I know we have some picnics scheduled, a picnic scheduled before too long.
May the 24th or something.
Right. Yeah, May 24th. I'm looking at it now. So yes, we'll play that one by ear. When it comes time, whether or not we can or cannot do that.
If we can do it, I can now make it. My convention has been canceled.
Well, we can a hot dog on our girls and we could all eat together.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, we can all each have a picnic in our house and
That's right.
Video.
That's right.
You guys can watch me eat SpaghettiOs.
Oh,
Ugh,
I know how to cook them. I put them in a bowl and heat them up for a minute and a half. I'm good to go.
yuck.
You say hi to everybody? Our meeting's done. You say hi.
All right. So,
Hi, Gracie.
There she is.
hi.
Little
Hi,
Gracie.
Say hi. We all saying hi to you. Say hi.
Hi, Grace.
Hi.
Hi.
God.
Hi. Can't see Margie. She doesn't want anybody to see her.
My computer, I'm telling you, my cameras on my computer are working.
I think you broke them.
I think she did it on purpose.
Margie, I spent yesterday, or the day before yesterday, my computer did an update. And yesterday, I could not get the video camera to work. I spent
Well, maybe that's it, because I went into my settings while you all were talking, and they're all on.
Well, and that's the truth. All of my settings were on, but it was not showing the video. On the
Right?
MSI
And that's what I'm at now.
But hold on. On the MSI computers, which you have the same computer I have.
Except for better.
What's that?
Except mine's better.
Well, not really, because my video is working. Sorry, that was just too easy, guys. But if you look at your keyboard on your MSI computers, F6 on the top, does that look like a little computer with a weird thing on the edge of it?
I know what it is. Yeah,
Hit the function button and hit F6. Function and F6.
I did.
Okay, what's it do? What little picture shows up at the bottom of your screen?
Nothing.
He's in the dark.
Absolutely nothing.
So hold function down and hit F6, and it doesn't turn your camera on and off?
That's right.
Okay. Well, that was actually what happened to mine. When it did the update, it turned the camera off.
Yeah.
And I had to go back in and find that. And I found that in a video after about 2 hours of searching.
Okay, now go over one more time real quick. How do I add a picture to it? Instead of me, I want one of my babes to it.
To what? To the background?
Or just instead of me, how can I add a picture?
Oh, that would be under your profile.
All right, I've already got a picture there. How do I add it to this meeting? As my instead of looking at me, you're looking at one of my babies.
Right. That should be automatic. If you don't have a camera on, that should show up automatically.
Well, it's not.
All right, I'll do a video on that.
Where's the profile at?
Well, you could just call me on the phone, Brian.
Yeah, I can do that too. Your profile would be
I know where it is, and I changed my profile. I put a Trixie in there, and I thought that'll work. And when I went to the video to go ahead and test it, it worked perfectly. And then on your site, when you brought it up, it doesn't work.
Okay.
Well, I'm not keeping up very well, but let me tell you, if you look down in the lower left-hand corner, I mean, I'm just learning this myself, and where it says stop video to the right, where there's the little delta right there.
I have mine as start video, and it won't do anything.
Well, let it say stop video, but the delta, just click on it. When it comes up, it gives you some options. One of the options is video settings.
No, it doesn't.
When you clicked on it, what does a screen
It
pop
is-
up?
is unable to detect the camera.
No, because it's not showing a camera, so it won't show anything down there, Rex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Margie, you and I will work on it over the phone and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, we'll come up with something.
Okay.
Bless you.
All right, where was I at? I forget what we were talking about. All right, so our next meeting will be the
Wednesday.
Lightroom meeting.
Yeah, first Wednesday.
It's
of the
next Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah.
That'll be
I might be a little bit late getting into that.
why you're not working.
I
Traffic
have,
backing
I,
up.
I have an appointment at 6 o'clock
Okay.
till
That's-
7
Got a
o'clock.
hot date.
Huh?
Well, hit me
Yeah,
with
with
the
my
time. What was the
therapist.
time again? Time again?
7.
The meeting will be at 7 o'clock as with all of our meetings. It'll be next Wednesday.
There you go.
And I'll be sending out an email. And Rex, I'm going to have to just send you a specific email until we get figured out why you're not getting our constant contact emails.
That's April Fool's Day.
I may have solved that earlier today. So next time you send one out, if I get one, I'll let you know. If not, I'll talk to Marty.
Okay. All right.
No, never mind. I'm doing a Zoom
Or you.
Zoom thing appointment on Wednesday. So then I'll just Zoom right into this one.
So anyhow, that'll be the next one. I'll send out the invite to everybody for that and get that sent out and posted up. I'm trying to duplicate everything on Reddit. So if I send something out, it goes to Reddit as well. Keep track of those downloads on the side of Reddit. For different things.
I got the information off of the one that says information on Reddit. That's how I was able to get to it. That's how I got here.
Okay.
So I'm following Reddit, and that should help a lot in staying in touch.
Okay, good.
Photographer's Challenge. Everybody needs to enter it this month.
Yep, Photographer's Challenge. I'm going to
I'll
get
send you
in,
the PDF.
as far as our next WPS meeting, at this point, I'm positive that it will be a virtual meeting because they've kept the schools closed through the middle of April at this point, I believe now.
Yes.
So with that being said, I'm going to get a hold of Paul and make sure he's still available and wants to do the street photography, which is
I hope so.
the next one. So I'll get with him and see if he wants to do that, if he's available to do it through this via Zoom. If not, we'll come up with something quickly about it. We can also do
critiquing.
I mean, it's really nice. I really like this program because we can do critiquing and everything right through here by showing video, by showing a screen. So, and if there's something that you want to show or some technique like Bob went over tonight, when he showed his part or when he talked about his part, I actually should have just told him, go ahead and share your screen and show us how it works. So next time we'll do that and we'll do things and add things in. So.
Okay.
All right. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's anything else I wanted to talk about. I think that's everything I wanted to go over. Is there any other questions or comments that anybody wants to make?
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
Good.
Okay, guys. And if you haven't downloaded the app for Zoom, you can download the app. And you can use this with, it's a free app and a free program for anybody that wants to. You're just limited to 40 minutes. And if you have more than one person. So if you want to get a hold of your family, you can tell them to do the same thing, add Zoom to their computer. Or you can set up a meeting if you download it yourself. And if it's just you and one other person, you can talk for as long as you want. There's no limit to that. Once you add a second person in, then you have or add another person in, then there's a 40-minute limit. So feel free to use this to talk to your friends and family and stuff like that as a way of getting in touch with people. So just as something I was thinking about. All right.
Yeah, that's good information.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, guys, thank you for joining. I hope everyone enjoyed the meeting and learned something, and I'll get that recording up as soon as I can. And that should be the extent of it.
Wonderful.
All right, guys.
Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you again.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys.
Catch you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, all.
Hi.
Yay, Panasi.